Hello, and welcome back to another episode of It's Okay, Baby Girl. Hope my baby girls are all doing well. It is the second episode of this year, episode 15. This week's episode is about something that I've realized within myself and in a lot of other people who grew up in brown communities. This week's episode is about the topic of gossip. And I just had some realizations over the past few weeks that I'd like to share with you guys. So let's get into it.
Qu'est-ce que je vais te nommer? Je vais te nommer l'amour, l'amour tendre, l'amour qui chante doucement dans mon cœur, l'amour sans logique à la raison.
So if you grew up in any sort of brown community, if you're Indian, Pakistani, Bengali, Sri Lankan, whatever, brown, Arab, African, any sort of ethnic community that is close-knit and very intimate and everybody knows everybody, then you know what I'm about to talk about. We're about to talk about the aunties and the gossip and all the rumors and the drama that runs around these communities and how irritating it can be. But more so than that, something I noticed recently is that a lot of us young people, like I would say teens to mid 40s, we are slowly becoming these people that we don't like. Because, yeah, the aunties are irritating because they are very nosy, they're rude, they're judgmental, they feel like they are entitled to have an opinion on your life, and they also have nothing better to do other than gossip. And it's really sad to see because it's irritating and it's usually about us, right? We've all been victim to this before. But I've realized more and more now, I see people younger than the auntie generation behaving like this. And I myself have been included in this category. I'm guilty of this as well. And I actually hate that I've participated in a behavior that I hate so much. But I don't think I realized it because I thought I was venting before, but I've observed other people and then I kind of looked within myself and I was like, holy shit, this is so toxic. We are all turning into mini versions of these aunties. Like, I'm talking about, we have nothing better to talk about than other people and what they're up to. Good, bad, ugly, true or untrue. All we do is talk about other people. You know, we even talk shit about the aunties. Let's be honest. Okay? But what I wanted to point out is the fact that if we don't like this type of behavior, why are we emulating it, you know? But I think it just goes to show that, you know, your nurture, meaning your parents, the environment you grew up in, does a lot. It impacts a lot in terms of your behavior, right? And what you learn to be acceptable or unacceptable. So in some way it's kind of inevitable that people turn out like this, because if this is the environment you're growing up in where everyone's gossiping, talking shit, of course you're going to grow up and naturally that's like your instinct is to do that, right? And it's also like a coping mechanism. A lot of people use this as a way to vent, but I think it goes a little bit too far because then you excessively talk about certain people and their personal lives and what you think about them. And, you know, to some extent, sure, I get the venting. But when, you know, that's all you can talk about with people, you really got to think about, is this worth it to talk about this? Is it worth my time to waste my breath on something so menial and so unimportant? You know what I mean? Like, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to gossip, and I'm realizing this now because I actually hate talking about other people's shit now because it's so stupid. What is it going to change the trajectory of my day? Sorry. Is it going to change the trajectory of my day other than bringing more negativity into my environment by the words that I'm speaking? Does it help me learn anything new? Does it improve myself as a person? It doesn't do any of those things, man. I gotta say, there was this one friend I had in high school. Shout out to my girl Kat, because she taught me something really important that I still think about to this day. I remember we were 18 years old, walking around a mall, just hanging out and talking, and we're getting ready to go off to college. And she was like, you know, there are 3 types of friends. or people or conversations you can have. They're the people who talk about people, the people who talk about things, and the people who talk about ideas. You got to be friends with people who talk about ideas, because those are the people who are worth your while. They're the people who are going to teach you something new. They're going to learn something new from you, and they're going to help you grow in the long run. Those are meaningful relationships. And part of my 2025 resolutions is to have good, relationships and make more friends, but they need to be meaningful friendships. And I am no longer interested in the gossip and the latest updates on random ass people. I don't care to know what's going on in people's lives unless I directly am speaking to them and I ask what's going on in your life, But I just don't want to turn into an auntie. And I realized that this was like a wake-up call for me. This is a wake-up call for all of us. So if this resonates with you at all, we all talk shit, right? We all are upset at the fact that aunties are huge gossips and all they do is yap about other people's personal lives and they have no business talking about these things, right? But then I find that we as a younger generation are doing that too. So we need to be mindful of that going into the new year. We need to be mindful of the fact that we are just as capable of being shitty. We are no exception. And it is a conscious effort that you have to make to not be like that. We are capable of changing our culture and our community, but it takes an individual and some introspection and some personal choices and mindfulness to get to a larger scale. Because when people individually think and reflect upon their own behavior, that's when they realize, oh, maybe I am contributing to the problem. Okay? I'm saying this because I want our brown communities to not be so damn toxic. Because there is beauty in having a close-knit community, to have an environment where you know a lot of people and they feel close and they're there for you. There's lots of friendship to be found in that and a lot of love that can be formed from that. But there can be a lot of resentment, a lot of hatred, a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, a lot of bitterness that can also come from that when we're not careful. And I don't want that. I really do respect the fact that brown people or just ethnic communities in general tend to be more close-knit. They like to have a good community. I think that's much needed in this day and age because we can all feel very isolated at times. So if we're going to do this, we have to just be aware of the fact that we should not be turning into these aunties. We should be better than the aunties that we complain about. Okay? So keep that in mind as you think about if you have this bad habit too. Because I'm not going to act like I'm perfect. I've definitely talked my fair share of shit. But I'm just realizing now that there's things that are more worth my while to talk about than other people. I'd rather talk about ideas and learn something new. Or, teach somebody something. Who knows, man? Like, it goes both ways. But I would rather talk about something that requires a little bit more brain cells than complaining about other people or talking about them when they don't need to be in the conversation at all, period. There are so many better things to talk about. Or just shut up. Like, just stay silent. I realize now sometimes there's no way to combat the gossip. It's just going to happen sometimes. And, sometimes you just have to combat it by staying silent. Just don't say anything. Because if you say nothing, you're not a part of it. You're just tuning it out. You're just letting it happen in the background, but it's not your problem anymore. So let's just think about that, okay? Especially as brown ladies. Okay? The gentlemen can be doing it too. I'm just saying, I've seen my fair share of everybody doing it, but I'm just hoping that this episode brings light to the fact that we are all capable of being shitty. We're all capable of becoming an auntie. And let's not do that, because we know that it makes people feel shitty when we see aunties talking about, our friends and stuff like that. So why should we be putting that same vibe out there? Let's be better than that. Let's talk goodness into the universe. Let's talk some positivity to each other. Let's uplift each other and talk about shit that's more worthwhile than people's personal lives. Okay. Anyways, that's all I had to say this week. Let's just be better than the aunties, okay? We're better than that. And if we want our communities to change and flourish and grow, it starts with us. We're at the perfect time in our lives to make that change and be a better wave of people coming in. As we get older, as we all start, growing our families and having kids, this is the perfect time to set those examples so that the people coming after us will have something better to follow. Because right now, our example is the aunties and uncles, right? And their behavior is not ideal. So let's be better than that. Be what you want your kid to be like, okay? Be what your kid should be like. Because they will end up being like you. So just be mindful of that as you go forward. But I really do want to work on this myself. I have been guilty of this, so I hope we can all make a little bit of a change. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys again for listening to another episode of It's Okay, Baby Girl. You can follow us on Instagram at ESOKBBYGIRL. Okay, It's Okay, Baby Girl. Same name as the podcast, just all one word. And I'm not sure about this TikTok thing. We'll see how this ban goes next week. But yeah, if there's no TikTok, then I will take out the link from the show notes. But you can find the links for Instagram in the show notes and any other information. But if you have any future episode recommendations, any feedback for me, feel free to leave it in the comments under the show, or you can message me on Instagram, and I am happy to hear whatever you have to say. Very excited about all these new episodes coming out, and I really hope this does not rub anybody the wrong way. This is not directly targeted at anyone. It's just a general observation that I've had within myself even, so I want this to be something for all of us to reflect upon. But yeah, take it as you will, okay? But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go. But I'll see you guys for another episode next week. And I love you guys so much. And just remember, it's okay, baby girl.